thanks for coming. I know it's early, no one wants to be up or, well, here right now, because mornings suck. Anyway, we're doing wirelessly charging nanobots through inductive coupling. It's kind of a mouthful, but I promise you it's actually really cool if you get down to it. Now, the people that are helping us out with this was Professor Mady and Professor Ukar. Thank you very much for showing up, taking time out of your day to do that. Okay, now, the problem we face, although nanobots are kind of considered to be a big deal, you know, they got a lot of potential, there are some inherent problems with them. As you can imagine, something that's smaller than the head of a needle doesn't really have a whole lot of battery life. So, what we had to do is find a way to power them wirelessly without harming the person that they're in.
So, why are we going in this direction? Well, they have a promising future in the medical field. You know, scientists have been working on this for a very long time, so it's going to gain traction, so we think it's the right time to start doing this. So, also there's a lot that we don't know about the anatomy of the human body, so it's always good to go in this direction. So, yeah, pretty much, that's it.
Alright, they may help in medical procedures in the future, you know, stopping diseases before they happen, alerting doctors when things are going wrong, that sort of thing. Okay, now the science behind it. Energy is transferred between two copper coils. One creates an energy field at a specific frequency, and then the other one picks up that frequency because it's attuned to pick it up. That's relatively simple. Now, the most common example of this that you might see on the internet or anywhere else would be light bulbs. You've got an energy field passing between two coils, energy source on one end and a light bulb at the other, so you can visibly see the energy passing between the two. But this is actually really common in what we use in everyday life. Have you ever used a wireless charging pad? Anyone? Show of hands? Right? Same thing. You've got a copper coil inside the battery of your phone, and the energy passes between the pad and your phone, thereby charging the battery.
So, most nanobots either travel through the arteries or internal organs. But now, scientists are doing work to get the nanobots to travel through veins as well. And unfortunately, the problem is that it takes a lot of time to develop this kind of technology. So the size limits the ability to pretty much hold a charge because it's a small battery from a small device. So,
as more studies continue, we want them to do more and more specific things. But the more you want it to do, the bigger it's going to be and the more power it's going to need, which is why you need a constant source of wireless energy. Now, as far as who wants to use this, medical patients, obviously, that would help out a lot. Possibly the military and helping out soldiers. Well, MIT, I'm getting to that later. There's actually a big contribution in all of this. Now, as far as solutions go, we had two main ideas, one of which being a medical bed with an embedded copper coil inside it, which emits an energy field around the patient that's laying in it, which is all fine and well, but if they've got a pacemaker, as you might expect, it could cause some problems. And we don't want to kill the person we're trying to help. Now, MIT recently developed a stretchable hydrogel bandage, which senses temperature, it lights up, and it delivers medicine to the skin. What we plan to do is embed copper coils within this bandage so it can be placed anywhere on the body and emit a constant source of energy, and it's limited to exactly where we put the bandage. It's causing no harm to the person. And here we have diagrams that we whipped up. As you can see, it's got the power source on either one going into the copper coils and then going into the person, which would be using either of these products.
okay, so these are the problems that we will face. So, as you can see, it emits an energy field and it radiates through the body. So it can interfere with, for example, pacemakers or any other devices that were surgically put in place into a person. So it can interfere with that and it can cause problems. So the bed will not be intended for people like that, but the wrap, however, can be placed anywhere on the body. So as far as administering medicine, that's the better option.
Although both could be used depending on on how much one is. If one's cheaper than the other, they're both still effective, but they would just have to limit to which patients can use it. As far as what can be expected, nanobots, like he stated previously, are already available to some extent. There is work being done on them. However, it'll be several years, possibly decades, before we're able to do anything substantial with them. More work has to be done in order to complete this. However, making the products be able to power them would only take a couple of years after we're able to fit the nanobots themselves with the copper coils. And here's our many sources. We referenced the National Heart Foundation in regards to the pacemakers. There were several papers that we reviewed that talked about nanobots in the medical field. And then there was the wonderful contribution from the MIT News, which was discussing the hydrogel wrap. Right. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Well, one is Tevin and one is Stephen.
Pardon?
I'm Steven, he's Tevin.
Stephen.
Right.
For the evaluation, make sure to get your names in there. That's pretty interesting. Okay, information.
Yeah, excuse me. It seems that the basic thesis here is that there's going to be, and you mentioned it earlier about making batteries small enough, that a battery or some sort of electrochemical reaction like that would be the source of power for these nanorobots and devices to function. Is that a correct statement? Is that what's underpinning everything here?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Just for sake of argument, is there an alternate energy source? Is there something where, and again, I'm maybe completely off here, but cells work quite well by metabolism without charging. Is there an artificial metabolism mechanism that would get around the entire problem?
Well, there is work being done to have energy that's naturally emitted from the body and charge it. Unfortunately, that's very far in the future, and this seems like a much more probable solution as to that.
In terms of charging, yes, but in terms of these, I am not familiar, I can't recall seeing a chart that shows the scaling capabilities of battery technology. And when you get down to the, again, when people are talking about nanobots, they're talking about things on the order of microns. Is that a correct statement?
Yes, sir.
In just a couple of words, how does current battery technology scale down to that size?
Honestly, we would need to do more research as to how much it limits as it gets down to that small.
Yes, I think that's a very important consideration here, and something we should explore.
Yes, sir. Any other questions? Yes.
This all sounds very exciting and interesting, but I'm having trouble understanding what is the mechanism behind this feeding of nanobots, doing that process. What's going on in there, like in the material? And you haven't really mentioned anything about the material that you will be using to, making up those nanobots. Any idea?
Well, assuming that the nanobots are going to be passing through the bloodstream, once they're entered into the bloodstream, it would not be very easy to get them back. And as other groups have stated, the blood naturally, filters itself and makes new cells. So eventually, they would have to be able to break down into waste. So we'd have to find some sort of biomaterial or otherwise composing material that could die down eventually, so it's not causing any problems for the body. We haven't found one yet, though. Anything else?
Did that answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so at the end of the semester, again, there's always going to be my kind of the typical question. What aspect of this do you think you can achieve? Is it the conceptualization of how the nanobots work, or is it going to be just a diagrammatic, presentation of how these are going to be put together so that, there will be a concept in place that is probably will be working later on? It seemed to me at this point it's very broad yet, so, and again, you only have 2 months to go. So Which aspect of these do you think is feasible within this time period that you can come up? You know, is it going to be a conceptual framework of how the nanobots operate, or it's going to be just putting together all of these different aspects of how the inductive coupling is going to be put in place? I think that's what my curiosity. Where are you going to be at the end of the semester?
We were obviously going to have all the information graphs, charts, and everything. We may be able to come up with some sort of system as to how the nanobots will operate, how they'll be programmed, that sort of thing. But I was also planning on making a working model of an inductive coupling system
Awesome. Okay.
by transferring power between